My name's Jas and welcome to Solutions for Accounting and the wonderful world of Sage add-ons. Today we'll be looking at purchase orders and enhanced ways to raise purchase orders within Sage 50. We've put together a 6-episode video series in which I will briefly explain and demo some of the steps and features of purchase order control. We'll be covering raising purchase orders, purchase order approval, pending purchase orders and purchase order list, purchase order deliveries, approval hierarchy, and of course, the Sage integration and budgets. If you would like to learn more about Sage 50 or any of the Sage add-ons in this video series, then please contact us on 0330 335 0011, or you can email us at inquiries@solutionscloud.uk. Hello and welcome to episode 1 of Purchase Orders for Sage 50. Today we're going to be covering how to raise purchase orders in purchase order control for your Sage 50 software. The first thing that we're going to do from the purchase order control home screen is request a brand new purchase order from scratch. And once we click into that screen, we then have effectively a form that you need to fill out ready for somebody to approve within your business. At the very top, we've got 4 separate tabs that we'll need to complete, which are optional. And once completed, this purchase order will be then fired off to the relevant person within your organisation in order for them to approve and for it to then hit the Sage system as an official purchase order. At the very top, the first tab we have is order details, and from here we then have a list of drop downs that we can fill out with all of the relevant purchase order information. The very first drop down is our supplier drop down. So again, this has got full Sage 50 integration. So anything that you have in Sage 50 with regards to purchase orders that is relevant to the purchase order control system will be automatically pulled through without any sort of intervention. It's a direct cloud integration. And so we have a full list of all of the different suppliers ready for us to choose from of who we want to purchase from. If I just select one today, let's go with the Superior Technologies. You can see there it's then pulled through the supplier address. The next tab down is our project tab. You may or may not be using this within Sage 50. If you are not, we can get rid of this drop down for you. If you are using projects, then it's very helpful for you to accumulate your costs around the project that you're working on. If we again select one at random, we'll go with Fred Bryant Home Installation. And then from that, we also have the cost code drop down. Again, you may or may not be using this, and if you are, we can select the relevant cost that you want to use. If you are not using it, then we can get rid of that screen completely. Next to our supplier, project and cost code drop down, we have our order date, reference and due date. Our order date has been pre-populated for us. You can change that if you need to. We can also add in a reference if you wish, but that is also auto-populated for us with a reference, a unique reference. And then we have our due date. So if you know when your product is due to arrive or your service is due to be carried out, you can add in a due date that is relevant. Just below the due date, we then have the product code or service code that you would like to add in as to what it is that you want to purchase. So from there, we then click the Add Order Line button. We then come into the Add Purchase Order Line screen, where we can now add in the product or service that it is that we want to buy. If you have your products and services set up in Sage, that's great. They will all pull through into the drop down and you can select accordingly. If you don't have any of your products and service codes set up in Sage, or if you don't want to set up your products and services in Sage, then of course you can just use a generic code that you can use across the board for all products and services that are being purchased throughout the business. If I just select one today, we'll go with this calculator printing rolls. It will also pull through any default information that you have set up in Sage. So for instance, on this screen, you can see after selecting this product code, it's pulled through my description from Sage. It's also pulled through a unit price from Sage as well and worked out my net, VAT and gross columns, and also selected a default nominal, tax code and department code as well. So you can set up all this default information within Sage, but it's completely optional. If we continue with raising our purchase order for today for calculators, we'll leave the description as it is and we'll just add in some additional information. We can also add in further comments as well if we wish, if we just pop in some test comments today, so we can see these coming through the Sage system. And just below that, we then come into the value section. We've already got our unit price. If that needs to change, you can absolutely do that. So if we just change this to 6,500, we can see now that our net VAT and gross columns have automatically changed. And if we go one step further and change the quantity as well, we'll change that to 2. We can see that net VAT and gross columns also changed now in accordance to the quantity that's been changed. You can also add discounts as well, just like you can in Sage. Whether you want to add that by £1 or percentage, you can do that. And just below that, we then have the posting details. So again, it's pulled through all of my default information from Sage. But of course, if you need to change something, you simply click the drop down and it'll pull through all of the different nominal codes that you have available in Sage, or all of the different departments built into the Sage system that you have available. It's important to remember across the drop downs within the purchase order control system, they are completely customizable according to the user that's using them. So for instance, if you had a user that only orders stationery for the business, you could lock them down to just the stationery suppliers, the stationery nominal codes, and the stationery department if you really wanted to. So you can really control and monitor what people actually see within the purchase order control system that's coming through from Sage. If we scroll a little bit further down, we then come to additional line information. Again, all of these tabs and drop downs are available within Sage. So we've made them available in purchase order control so you have the same features and functions as Sage 50. Moving on from the line information, if you want to add in anything in there, you can do. If we just pop in a test comment again today, and then just below that, we have our project details. These are being pulled through from the previous screen as we've already filled them out. But of course, if you are raising a purchase order across multiple projects, then each additional line item that you have will have a different project and a different cost code, and possibly even a different nominal and departmental code as well. In addition to the project details, you can also mark the purchase order as a prepay item if it's something that needs to be paid for before the business will receive it or before the service may be carried out. So you would select a mark item as prepay, and that will notify anybody that's going to be dealing with this purchase order from a finance or from an approval point of view that it's a prepay item and that it will need to be approved as soon as possible in order for you to receive the goods or the service carried out elsewhere. Once you've filled out all of the relevant purchase order line information, you can then hit Save Item, and that will bring that line item straight through to the main purchase order. And of course, if you're ordering multiple items from the same supplier across multiple projects or nominals or departments, you can simply add in additional order lines in accordance to what it is that you want to buy. Moving on from your order details, we then move into deliveries. You can add in a delivery address if you know what that delivery address is going to be. Alternatively, you can add one in directly from your Sage system as well. So here we simply just select Change Delivery Address. And from here, we can then select the relevant address that we want the item to go to or where your service may be carried out. You've got a list of addresses that are coming through from the Sage system. And in addition to that, you have a drop down where you can select addresses from your customer or supplier addresses as well. So if this is an item that you are purchasing that is going directly to a customer from the supplier, you can simply select your customer addresses, find the relevant customer that it's going to, and then select an address from their drop down, and then select an address that is relevant to them. This, of course, is providing that you have all of the addresses for both your own business, your customer addresses, and of course your supplier addresses already set up within the Sage system. Moving on from delivery details, we can then add in our supplier order details. If you've been given a supplier order number, you can add that into the system. If you've also got a contact telephone number, you can also add that in as well. And if you're working with somebody specific within the organisation that you're at, your suppliers, then of course you can add that in as well. You've also got some analysis fields. Again, these are available within Sage as well. So we've made them available here. If you've renamed them something else within the Sage program, then of course those new adjusted fields would also appear the same way that they do in the Sage system, in the POC system as well. And then just below that, we've then got the carriage and freight charges. If you're being charged a carriage or freight charge, you can add in the relevant information according to that. If we add in a £50 net charge, you can see the VAT has automatically worked itself out because of the tax code that's been selected. If you're using a different tax code, then of course you can select the one that is relevant. If we put in a charge for carriage, you can see that the VAT has automatically worked itself out based off the tax code that's been selected. if you're using a different tax code, whichever tax codes that are available within your Sage system will be readily available in this drop down for you. You've also then got your gross amount just there as well, and then just next to that you've got a departmental and nominal field as well. Really important as well, department and nominal in the carriage section is specific to the carriage. This does not alter any of the nominal or departments within the main purchase order itself. So if we just select the relevant department that we want to apply here for carriage, and of course if you want to add in a carriage nominal, you can do that as well. We can then move into the next tab, which is our document tab. You can attach documents throughout the entire process of purchase order control, right from the get-go. So right from this point where we're raising the purchase order, you might want to attach a quotation or a diagram or a picture or something of that sort. You can attach documentation from any sort of smart device, any smartphone, tablet, laptop, PC. You can do all of that right through to the point of invoice. So you may want to add one right now, like a quote. And once you receive the goods, you might want to add in a delivery note as well. And at the point of invoice, your finance team also may want to add in the invoice that they've received from the supplier as well. It keeps all of your documentation together, and it's really easy to find things if you have any issues with the supplier or the customer or anything like that. You can very quickly and very easily find all the documentation of relating to the purchase order that you're dealing with. From here, we just click Attach Document, and then that will take you to a gallery on your device that you're using, and you can select the relevant document that you want to attach. We'll go with a test Excel document today. You can attach documentation from PDF or Word or anything like that, and then we can go into the next part, which is our notes section. The notes section is specifically for internal notes only, and only people that have been given access to this specific purchase order would see these notes. To add a note, we simply click Add Note, and that will allow us to add in any further information that we want to add. Simply hit Save, and that's all time and date stamped straight into the system. Any documents and notes that you're adding into the system cannot be deleted by any one of your users. These are specifically added into the system and will remain there until somebody from your admin team or one of your super users of purchase order control is going to delete them for whatever reason that you might have. But no actual user that is raising purchase orders or approving purchase orders would be able to delete any notes or any documentation within purchase order control. Once you're happy with everything that you've processed in with regards to your order details, your delivery information, your document that you've attached, and any notes that you might have left for your authorizer, you can come in and you can simply either hit draft and save it as a draft if you want to come back to it later on to add in any additional items. Alternatively, if you are ready for this to go off for approval now, you simply hit request purchase order, and that will fire off to the relevant person within your organisation ready for approval. In the next episode, we'll be covering how your approvers go about approving purchase orders that have been raised within the system ready for Sage.